Hello everyone, this is Dan Gramza and welcome to Advanced Gramza Market Studies for Wednesday, November 27th. Greetings from Sydney. Let's take a look at these stock indices. We are looking for unchanged to higher across the board. Let's see if we got that. Can we get this level of commitment? Yeah, we'll click that off. We're okay. And do we get the follow through that we're looking for? If you look at the NASDAQ market, that did okay yesterday, right? And we're seeing in Asia right now and in Australia, we are getting that follow through. But check out the Dow and also check out the S&P. Here's the Dow. Take a look at that. Look at how we're making those highs over the last few days. Are we seeing a sign of confidence? Are we seeing buyers willing to commit themselves to this move? Here are the mid caps. They're struggling up here. It implies a market that's not really totally confident about what's happening here. We see that in the Dow, and we also see it here in the E-mini S&P. NASDAQ, on the other hand, is firm. We are looking for follow through to the upside for today. We're going into our holiday period, but here's the thing. This is not the same as it was, 15 years ago. Holidays have a different meaning today from a futures point of view, because these markets are going to finish Wednesday out normally. Thursday there'll be shortened sessions for some, and then we have a close, and then we have it open that night because Asia opens Friday morning. It'll be Thursday night in Chicago. So it doesn't change the behavior of people like we used to see in the past. When we knew the markets would be totally closed, maybe for 3 days, we saw it forced people to make a decision. We don't feel that same pressure. However, I am looking for follow through. Now, I said that yesterday too, and you can see we really didn't get that. But today, for today's action as we go into Thursday, I'm looking for a stronger close here. I'm looking for a sign of confidence in the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, and our friend the mid-caps. This is really struggling here. At levels that we found sellers before, I believe right now we're going to take those out. The mid-caps are the last ones that have not taken out that previous swing high. And what do we want to see? We want to see this kind of action. Let me pull that up. See that green candle there? Nice clean close to those previous highs. It's the same thing you want to see like we saw here in the S&P. Not as good, but a step in the right direction as we went above those previous shadows. That is what we need to see here in the mid caps, and I believe today has that potential. Now in the currencies, on the other hand, I am looking for follow through to the upside. As you know, I'm just not bullish on the US dollar. So what we're seeing are these currencies firming up. I believe in this kind of action, and I'm looking for follow through there to the upside. The bullish level there for the euro is at 135.65, and the bearish level there, by the way, is at 134.40. And in the Swissy, if we look at this action here, this bullish level in that market was at 109.65. And what we're looking for on the bearish level is a lot lower than that. I don't expect that to be taken out. That's at 108.55. That can be raised a little bit. Right now we saw a positive candle followed by a negative candle. That's an equal and opposite. Yesterday's action took it out, and right now we're seeing some follow through. And I think it's important that this carries through all 3 sessions. In other words, not only here in Australia, but also in Europe and in the US. We need to see continuous action here. We don't want to see Europe to stumble. If it does, as it comes to the US, that wouldn't necessarily be the strong sign that I'm looking for. So I think this is encouraging. So I'm looking forward to up close in the euro and the Swissy. Our friend Mr. Yen, I absolutely love this downward pressure. I think it's what we should see here in this market. The bullish level has not changed. That's at 99.30. Aussie dollar, what's going on with this guy here? Again, I'm on the bullish side of this, even though right now we would theoretically be on the short side. Nothing telling us to jump up and be a buyer here. It's still soft. But I just want to keep my eye on that market. The bullish level here for the Aussie dollar is at 92.05. Let's move on. And let's take a look at the British pound. Here, we need to move that down a little bit. It's looking healthy. As you know, I'm bullish on this market. Right now, the bearish level here for the British pound is at 161.25. We can, when this finishes, we can raise that up a little bit. But right now, out of all these currencies, this baby's ready to run. And it looks like they're buying it with both hands. And I'm looking for follow through. The key we want to see here in the British pound is a close today above 163, above the figure is where we'd want to see that. Canadian dollar, as we've talked about, our friends in Canada, the loonie, we're just not seeing follow through. It's like it's just wandering out there. There's no real strong sense of direction, down or up, by the way. And yes, we've seen some red candles. My bias is still for a push back to the upside. And in that market, 95.20 is the bullish level, 95.84 is the, or 95.008 is the bearish level in that market. All right, let's move on. If you see this kind of action here in the currencies, like the euro, Swissy, British pound, then does that give us a clue about interest rates? What do we expect to see there? Anything different going on? Well, in the DEES contract for the euro, no, it's doing okay, doing what it should do. Again, if you look at the notes, I don't like this movement here to the upside. I don't feel it's sustainable to maintain a move in the notes. The bearish level has been moved a little higher. It's at 126.20. It's a little soft here right now. Right now for this market, that's not a strong clue. What's going to be important here, I believe, for the 10-year notes and 30-year bonds is what happens in Europe. And what am I looking for as we go into Wednesday's finish? I want to see downward movement. And I know we got positive action yesterday in both of these markets. Inside the benchmark candle here in the bonds, I feel that sellers are still dominant, and I am looking for a down day across the board in both the notes and the bonds. I think that would fit, and I think that would make sense. But what about gold? It's a market that wants to go higher, but there's nothing behind it. I just don't think it has a reason yet to do something. 1266 is that bullish level. The bearish level here is at 1262. We are seeing a little bit of buying coming into the market here in this time zone, but I just don't see strong follow through. My bias is for a move to the upside, by the way, not only in gold but also in silver. The bullish level in silver is at 2032 in that market. And I think it wants to go higher. Just look at yesterday's action. It backed off. And here's the other thing that you and I could look at. If sellers are here, well then doggone it, where are they? We're not seeing strong follow through to the downside. We're seeing the opposite kind of behavior. So it's bouncy down here. And I still think the bias is for a move to the upside. The issue for you and me is it's sustainable. And that I'm not so sure about. But I think what is sustainable is our friend here, copper. It has been struggling. We have found sellers. It basically is still covered by this benchmark candle. But my bias is for a move to the upside. Now let's move on. Let's take a look at those energy markets. Crude oil, I'm looking for a sideways move. This market, again, what reason does this have to take off to the upside? Dollar's a little stronger in some of these markets. A sideways move here makes sense to me. Yes, we have a bullish benchmark candle. I just don't see the pieces coming together. I am not bullish on this market, and I'm looking for weakness. Natural gas, on the other hand, I am looking for a sustained movement to the upside. And, I also want you to know that this action that we see here, the stop and rest action that we see yesterday, it's important that today we take it out. And ideally, we would close above 88. That would be beautiful. if we get that kind of movement. We still have some cold weather. The consumption and demand here, I think, is there for crude oil. For natural gas. Alrighty. Beans. I think that buying pressure is still here for beans right now. Here's yesterday's action. That's fine. Right now, we're firming up. I am looking for an up day in soybeans. I'm looking for an up day in corn. And wheat, I'm not so sure about that one. This is just fascinating. Look at all these shadows. If today we do get the up day, and 56 is the 56, is the bullish level here, I'm looking for this to be a screamer. That should be closing around 66, 67, someplace in that range. I have a hard time visioning this happening, though, under the current environment that it's in. But corn and beans, I'm looking for a solid up day today in those markets. Now let's move. Well, actually, I should tell you this. The bullish level, that's what I want to talk to you about, is at 421. Well, that concludes today's advanced market studies. Thank you for sharing part of your day with me. I'm looking forward to being with you again, and in the meantime, take care.